there are 5 groups of people that must enroll into Medicare when they turn 65. If you don't, you risk penalties, big financial risk, and possibly even having to go without coverage. So these can all be really big problems. One of the questions we get all the time when people call us are, do I have to enroll in Medicare because I'm turning 65? So the answer isn't always yes, but it is for these 5 groups of people. Hi, I'm Erika Smiley. I'm one of the educators and a licensed agent here at MedicareSchool.com. And we make these videos to help take the stress and anxiety out of Medicare. We know you get bombarded as you approach Medicare age with a lot of phone calls and junk mail and everything. So we want to make sure we get you the education and the right answers you need. And you can always give us a call as well to talk through your unique and current situation. So in this video today, we're going to talk about the 5 groups of people that must enroll in Medicare when they turn 65, why these people have to enroll, and then we'll talk about the different Medicare plan options you have available to you, and the how and the timing of it all, of when and how to get enrolled. So stick around to see if you find out if you fall into one of these 5 groups of people. So timing is very important when it comes into enrolling and signing up for Medicare. And we've built a whole business around helping people navigate the Medicare maze. So let's start off with the first group of people that must enroll in Medicare when they turn 65. So the number 1 group of people that must enroll into Medicare at age 65 are those of you who are no longer working, or you're no longer covered by a group or an employer plan. So you don't have your own insurance through your work, you're not currently working, or you're not covered by a spouse's plan. So you don't have group or employer coverage anymore through yourself or through a spouse. You must enroll in Medicare at age 65. Now, the number 2 group of people that must enroll into Medicare at age 65 are people who work for what's considered a small employer. So what's a small employer? Small employer is if there's 19 or fewer on the payroll. So not 19 or fewer on the insurance policy, but 19 or fewer on the company's payroll. So let's say you're 65 years old and you want to keep working, right? You're going to work till you're maybe 70 years old, but you only work at a small company with 6 or 7 people. Well, you're going to have to enroll in Medicare, because when you turn 65, that small employer plan is going to move to the second payer position. So that small employer plan, if they have 19 people or less on the payroll, is going to pay second, because they're going to expect you to roll into Medicare, and Medicare would pay first. Now, if you don't enroll in Medicare, then guess who's going to be in the first payer position? It would be you. So that's the second group of people that must enroll in Medicare, even if you're going to keep working or you're covered by a spouse's plan. If it is a small employer of 19 people or less on the payroll, you must enroll in Medicare at age 65. So group number 3 that must enroll in Medicare at age 65 are those of you who are on an ACA, or maybe you call it a marketplace or an Obamacare plan, but those ACA plans. Now, this is because all of the financial incentives you had for this plan are going to go away. So like the premium credits, the tax credits, you're not going to get those any longer. So that ACA plan would not make sense to stay on that. It's going to be more expensive. It's not going to be cost effective. And also, they expect you to enroll in Medicare, okay? So if you're on an ACA plan or a marketplace plan, you must enroll in Medicare at age 65. So the 4th group of people that must enroll in Medicare at age 65 are those of you who are retired military who are on Tricare or Tricare for life. Now, Tricare is excellent coverage, but they do expect you to enroll into Medicare when you turn 65, because Tricare is going to move again to that second payer position. Okay, so we have to put somebody in the first payer position, and that's Medicare, or it's going to be you in the first payer position. So actually, you enroll in Medicare, parts A and B, you have Tricare, and they're going to coordinate benefits with each other. Whatever Medicare doesn't pay, Tricare will pay, and it's actually very comprehensive coverage. But if you are in that group of people, you are retired military with Tricare or Tricare for life, you must enroll in Medicare at age 65. Now, just some side notes here about Tricare, if you don't enroll in Medicare Part B when you turn 65, you could risk losing your Tricare coverage. You also could face late enrollment penalties. So remember, if you don't enroll in Part B when you're supposed to, they're going to charge you a 10% penalty for every 12 months you went without coverage, and that's a penalty for life. So you could face late enrollment penalties if you have Tricare and you don't enroll in Medicare Part B. Now, there is one loophole and exception to this. If either you or your spouse are still on active duty, you do not have to enroll in Medicare Part B at age 65, but as soon as that active duty ends, you do need to enroll in Part B. Okay. And then lastly, just a side note about this, most people who come into Medicare have to get some form of drug coverage. So that's called a Part D plan. So these are drug plans that are either alone, they're standalone Part D plans, or they're actually wrapped into an Advantage plan. But just know, if you have Tricare, you're going to already have your drug coverage through Tricare. And that's creditable drug coverage that is going to be as good, or if not better, than Medicare. So you don't have to do a Part D drug plan. So just know, if you have Tricare and Medicare together, you're going to be covered. Medicare and Tricare are going to coordinate with each other to give you coverage, and you can still get your medications through Tricare, so you don't need a Part D drug plan. Hey, if you found this video helpful, do us a favor. Go give us a like. We always appreciate it. And subscribe so you don't miss out on any of those future videos. And leave us a comment. We'd love to hear what you have to say. We love to answer any questions you have. That's what it's here for. So drop us a comment below. Okay, so the fifth and last group of people that has to be on Medicare at age 65, drum roll please. It's not that exciting, but it is one that could impact a lot of you, and that's those of you who are on COBRA. So COBRA is just an extension of your employer plan that they offer you after you leave. Maybe you're laid off, maybe you're going to retire, whatever that is. If you turn 65 years old, you need to make sure that if you have COBRA insurance, that you enroll in Medicare. And here's why. Again, COBRA is going to move to that second payer position. So if you don't speak insurance, you're like, what is the second payer position, Erika? To break that down for you, if you go in the hospital and you have a $100,000 bill in the hospital, and you're 65 and 3 months old, and you're on COBRA, you think you're covered, you think everything's going to be okay, you find out, oh no, COBRA expected you, because you're 65, to have enrolled in Medicare. So they're going to pay second. So that means 20% is what COBRA would pay. So 20% of 100,000, they would only pay 20K of that bill, and you would be stuck with 80K out of pocket that you would have to pay. This could be a super costly mistake, okay? So it's very important to make sure, if you're turning 65 and you're on COBRA, that you enroll in Medicare, because COBRA is going to move to that second payer position, and you need Medicare in there to pay first. So a little side note here about COBRA, you may be thinking, oh no, but I have a spouse, I have a 24-year-old that are covered by this COBRA insurance. Now, even though it's going to be triggered for you when you turn 65 that you have to enroll in Medicare, usually your spouse and dependents can stay on that COBRA plan for up to 36 months. So as long as that spouse is under 65 themselves, they can stay on that COBRA plan. So can usually your dependents. There's a couple rules with that. They had to already have been covered by the insurance plan when the COBRA started. And of course, they have to keep paying those COBRA premiums, right? So you're going to have to enroll in Medicare and pay the Medicare premiums, and you have to make sure you still keep paying those COBRA premiums, so you make sure the spouse and your dependents are still covered. But don't worry, your Medicare eligibility does not disqualify your spouse or any dependents from continuing to use that COBRA. Okay, so let's review. Again, these are the 5 groups that must enroll in Medicare at age 65. First of all, if you're no longer working and you're not covered by either your or a spouse's group or employer plan. Number 2, remember, is if you're with a small employer, so you have 19 or less on the payroll. The third one is if you're on an ACA or a marketplace plan. Then we have those of you who are retired military and on Tricare. And lastly, we're those of you who may be on COBRA. So these are the 5 groups that must enroll in Medicare at age 65. Okay, so maybe you're watching this video and you just found out you're in one of these groups. You must enroll at age 65, but let's look at when you can enroll, the timing of it all, and how you can enroll. So let's say your birthday is July 15th, okay? So we got a birthday of July 15th. You're gonna come into Medicare through what's called an IEP. So your IEP stands for Initial Enrollment Period. And this is a 7-month window of when you can come into Medicare around your 65th birth month, okay? Now, a little secret to this, some people may not know, if you're taking Social Security, they're going to automatically enroll you. So if you're taking Social Security, they're automatically going to enroll you, and you're going to get your Medicare card in the mail about 100 days or about 3.5 months before your birth month. So let's say you do have this July 15th birthday, you are taking Social Security, you're going to get your card in the mail about mid-March, okay? So just know if you're on Social Security, you don't have to do anything. They're going to automatically enroll you. And keep an eye on your mail because they're going to send you that red, white, and blue Medicare card about 3.5 months or 100 days before your birthday. Okay? So let's say you're not on Social Security. You have to enroll. You have to take action to enroll. Well, first of all, you can call us. We're happy to help you and walk you through it. There's a couple different ways you can enroll. If you have an SSA.gov account set up, that's a quick and easy way to enroll. You can go on there and apply online. That's pretty quick and easy. We can walk you through that. Or there's some paper forms where you can fill out a paper form and either drop it off at the office, fax it in, mail it in, or a combination of both, okay? But again, that's part of what we do. We educate people, but we also can help you, assist you with enrolling. So call us if you need help. But here's how this works. So if your birthday's in July, you actually can enroll up to 3 months before prior. So you can enroll in April, May, or June, so as early as 90 days out. But the timing of when your coverage is going to start all depends on when you enroll. So if you enroll in either April, May, or June, your coverage is still going to start on the first day of your birth month. So your coverage would actually start on the 1st of July if you enrolled in any of those months prior. Now let's say you enroll the month of July. Your coverage would start in August. If you enrolled in August, your coverage would start September 1st. And if you enroll in September, your coverage would start October 1st. And your last opportunity to enroll during your IEP would be October, and your coverage would start November, okay? So that's the window, the 7-month period of when you can enroll in Medicare when you're turning 65, and again, some of the different ways to come into Medicare during your IEP. All right, so now you know if you're in one of those 5 groups, you must enroll in Medicare. You know when you can do it, and you know how to do it. But give us a call. We're happy to walk you through it and make sure all your plans start on time and all your paperwork's correct so you can avoid any stress, headaches, or expensive late fees or penalties.